You know, when I heard that Daniel Day-Lewis was coming out of retirement for a movie directed by his son, I thought this could either be a masterpiece or a total vanity project. Turns out it's kinda somewhere in between.
What do you want from me, brother? What do you want?
You're going to hell, brother. Family reunion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Anemone, the new psychological drama that marks the directorial debut of Ronan Day-Lewis, who also co-wrote the film with his father, Daniel Day-Lewis, who stars alongside Sean Bean, Samantha Morton, and Samuel Bottomley. Now, Daniel Day-Lewis has been retired from acting for about 8 years, with his last performance being in Phantom Thread back in 2017. So yeah, this return was a big deal. Call it nepotism if you want, but honestly, if it takes his son getting into filmmaking to bring him back to the big screen, then I'm all for it, because Daniel Day-Lewis is, in my opinion, one of the most talented actors in film history. So going in, my expectations were sky high, and while I definitely didn't hate Anemone, I can't say it met those expectations either. Before we get into the story, if you're enjoying the channel, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my future reviews. And if you'd like to go the extra mile in supporting the channel, I have a Patreon where you can become a member for just $1 a month. It really helps me keep making these reviews every week. Anemone follows Ray, a troubled recluse who's been living in isolation along a remote coastal forest. When his estranged brother, played by Sean Bean, shows up unexpectedly, he urges Ray to come home and reunite with his estranged lover and his son, who he abandoned 20 years ago. What follows is a slow meditative story about guilt, forgiveness, and the heavy emotional cost of solitude, as Ray is forced to confront not only his past, but whether he's even capable of returning to the life he left behind. Let's just start with the obvious. The best part of Anemone by a wide margin is Daniel Day-Lewis. Big surprise, right? He puts on an acting masterclass as usual. The film gives him plenty of space to breathe, with long reflective monologues on the sins and triumphs of his past, where he quietly unravels Ray's fractured psyche. These scenes are the movie's clear highlights, the kind that remind you why he's considered one of the best actors to ever do it. Even when the pacing dragged, whenever Daniel Day-Lewis was on screen, I was locked in. His performance is subtle but devastating, capturing the pain of a man who's been living with regret for so long that it's practically become his identity. It's not a showy role, but it's one that lingers. And while I'm not sure Anemone will make much noise come award season, I wouldn't be mad if he slipped into the Best Actor conversation. The other undeniable strength here is the cinematography. This movie is gorgeous. The greens and blues of the forested seaside setting are mesmerizing. You can practically smell the salt air and damp soil. Ronan Day-Lewis clearly has a great visual eye. He leans heavily into wide compositions and slow sweeping drone shots that look like they could hang in an art museum. The use of natural lighting and contrasting tones, the cold blues against warm candlelight interiors, makes for some stunningly beautiful frames. It's one of those films where even when not much is happening, you can't help but admire how good it all looks. The score, composed by Bobby Krlic, aka the Hacks and Cloak, adds a lot to that atmosphere. It's a haunting blend of symphonic shoegaze and acoustic textures that perfectly underscores the somber tone of the film. It's melancholic but not overbearing, and it really complements the sense of stillness and emotional weight throughout the story. It's easily one of the more memorable elements of the movie. But now here's the big issue. Anemone is painfully slow, and I mean painfully. I love a good slow burn when done right. It can build mood and tension beautifully. But this movie often crosses the line into indulgent territory. There are long stretches where nothing happens except scenic shots of waves or forests. Don't get me wrong, those shots are stunning, but they start to feel like filler for a story that doesn't have enough momentum to sustain its runtime. The film often feels like it's stalling, circling around emotional beats without pushing them forward. It's meditative to a fault, and at times I found myself genuinely fighting off drowsiness just because of how long it lingers on moments that don't add much. Sean Bean, who plays Ray's brother, does what he can with the role. He's grounded, sympathetic, and believable, but the script gives him frustratingly little to do. Most of his scenes consist of him quietly listening to Ray's philosophical rambling or urging him to come home. The dynamic between the two brothers is supposed to be the film's emotional core, but it never fully takes off. There's so much potential here for powerful back and forth exchanges, especially between two actors of this caliber, yet the movie barely scratches the surface of their relationship. Bean feels like he's mostly there to trigger Day-Lewis monologues rather than share the emotional spotlight. The film also frequently cuts back to the family of Ray, where we see his ex-lover and son moping over his absence, and these sections quickly become repetitive. Much of this time is spent watching his son lying in bed and being depressed rather than actually progressing their side of the story. And again, it just feels like filler much of the time. We do get hints of story progression here and there, but it's far too little for how much downtime is spent lingering on these scenes. It's one of those subplots that could have been compelling if handled with more depth, but instead it ends up dragging the film's already slow pace down even further. And speaking of writing, that's where Anemone really stumbles. The story feels underwritten. For a film that wants to dig deep into themes of loss, regret, and reconnection, it often feels like it's saying very little. Ronan Day-Lewis occasionally dips into surreal, dreamlike imagery clearly meant to add symbolic depth, but these moments come across more as self-serious than profound. It's like the film wants to be interpreted on multiple levels, but doesn't give you enough context to really engage with those ideas. It ends up feeling opaque rather than meaningful, the kind of movie that seems deeper than it really is. So all in all, Ronan Day-Lewis shows genuine potential as a director. His sense of composition, pacing of atmosphere, and visual storytelling instincts are all promising. He just needs a stronger, more focused script next time around. Anemone is not a film for everyone. It's quiet, opaque, and at times painfully slow, but if you're a fan of Daniel Day-Lewis, it's worth watching for his performance alone. Just don't expect it to be the groundbreaking cinematic comeback you might have been hoping for. At the end of the day, I'm giving Anemone a 3 out of 5. If it weren't for Daniel Day-Lewis' performance, that score would be lower because he truly carries this film. Every scene he's in reminds you why he's one of the greats. But those are just my thoughts. What about you? Did Anemone work for you as a slow, emotional character study, or did it feel like a missed opportunity? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this review, make sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out my Patreon where you can support the channel for just $1 a month. It really helps me keep making videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.